What's up, y'all? Morinike. Oh, hey. Oh. How's my audio? Y'all help me. Let's see how this poll thing works out. If my audio is good, click the smiling emoji, and if my audio is trash, then click the crying emoji, so that I know. Trying to get some energy. I did not feel like coming on live today, y'all. I'm gonna tell you why. I did not feel like I did not feel like going live today. But I have something really important that I'm starting, so I had to come on here and do it. So let me know, come in, let me know how my audio is doing. If it's good, give me the smiling emoji. You can vote on the thing over here. Oh, way to end it. It's done now. Okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for the love. Okay, so I'm gonna get started because I'm nervous, y'all. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Okay, I got that out the way. So y'all are going to be helping me to record not my first podcast episode, but it's going to be my first podcast episode for the show that I'm trying to get started and trying to get going. So the audio being good is important. And I want to make sure that it's just good quality. Even so, I got the ring light, the whole production set up. Like, it's serious. I'm really getting started with it, and so I really appreciate y'all rocking out with me. And I want you to talk to me. Let me know how you feel about this topic. If you're interested in it, ask me questions because we're gonna be starting. We're gonna be talking about it. Hey, Teresa. We're going to be talking about it. So if you came in already, then you saw the topic is I quit my job to be a full-time content creator. And this is not a new thing. I quit my job 2 years ago. And so I'm giving an update on how it's going, how it started. And I'm like telling some of the details that I didn't share when I was going through it, because I'm going to be honest, it was embarrassing. Some of the things that occurred. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to hang out. We're going to talk about all the things that occurred these past 2 years and how it's been. And I'm going to be really honest and candid about the journey of being a content creator, being an influencer, and how there are so many different aspects to it that we just don't get to see from people's feeds and what they post online. So as we're coming in, let me know where you're listening from, where you're watching from. I'm trying to get it in my head that this is going to be a podcast episode. I'm really trying my best, but so if I'm fluctuating in between, that's why. So yeah, so let me know where you're coming in from, where you're watching from, where you're listening from, and I am going to start talking about it. So the name of the podcast, the name of the space, the community that is being created is called For Trendsetters Only. And so when I was thinking about the name of the podcast and I thinking about the name of the show, I was like, well, what is going to be the thing that I really discuss on this space? Because I do fashion, I do content creation, I'm an influencer. I kind of have my hands in different things. So what does that look like? But the reason why it is called For Trendsetters Only is because it is specifically geared towards influential people. And so I was literally like thinking about this. I was in the bathroom. I know TMI, but we're here now. I already said it. I was in the bathroom and I was like, what is going to be like the tagline, or what's the space going to be about? And so it's dropped in my spirit that it is the most inclusive, exclusive space. And so when that came to me, I was like, okay, God, you know what you're doing, because that is so dope. And I don't feel like I've ever heard that. So it is For Trendsetters Only, and it is the most inclusive, exclusive space. And it is where we come together as influential people and we learn from one another, we grow, we're honest about what we're experiencing, and we go out into the world and we blaze the trails. We become trendsetters in our own spaces. So I can't play Vogue by Madonna. I don't even really, that's not even really my thing. Y'all, okay, it's gonna be some weird comments coming in. I'm gonna try to stay on topic. Okay, so I am, so let's go back in time. So I started content creation back in 2017. And so I was creating YouTube videos. I was doing a blog. I had a blog. And this is back when I thought that I wanted to like write, right? I was like, I'm going to just write because that's easier than being on camera and talking. Wrong. Wrong. I learned very quickly that that is not the space that I want to be in. And so I started to transition into doing YouTube videos, YouTube tutorials, and I was doing repurposed fashion. And so through that process, I was kind of developing this love again for fashion and really figuring out what that looked like because I've always learned fashion in a non-traditional sense. And so and let me know if this is something that really resonates with you because when I was growing up, I always felt like I was the only one going through this stuff. Like, I never really talked to people about how hard it was to put on the clothes that I made or how insecure I felt about maybe not having the things that other people had, but I had something that I made. And it was to the point where I would feel a way about wearing my own work. Like, I felt like I was very critical of it. And I felt like, people could see the mistakes and they could see where I didn't do things perfectly. And I was really caught up in the criticism and just not feeling like confident in what it was that I produced. And so I always felt like I was the only person that could relate to that. And the thing that was so cool about actually going out and putting my work out there was that I started to realize that there were other people who could relate to what I was going through and to the specificity of being repurposed designers, upcyclers, thrifters. And I started to really find my space once I began to talk about it and be more honest and be more vocal about what it was that I was passionate about and educating people with the information and the knowledge that I had, right? So that's just like a little backstory into how I got started. So we're gonna fast forward to 2020. I'm working a retail job. And so I'm at this job and I was one of those people who was quiet quitting. And I didn't even realize it had a term this whole time. It's really trending now where people are talking about being quiet quitters. And so they're still showing up, they're still doing their jobs, but they're slowly accepting less outside responsibilities. So basically, if it's not in my job description, I'm not doing it. Like, that's what quiet quitting is. And so I was doing that for a long time. I quit in my head, in my heart. I quit like at least a year and a half before I actually quit. Like, I slowly started to like accept less responsibilities. I wasn't staying in late. Like, when it was my time to go, y'all knew at 4 o'clock, don't look for Jada because she's gone. Like, I was out the door. And so I started to realize that I was really just getting to this space where I just could not shake this feeling like I can't be here anymore. Like, it is really just taking everything. It just doesn't feel, I don't feel fulfilled here. And so I started to realize that, slowly I felt it like, okay, it's going to be time for you to go soon. But here's the thing. I left at this time. I'm getting ahead of myself. At that time that I was feeling this, I was scared. And I was scared because I didn't have anything set up that I felt like was really secure. Teresa, I used to be so critical. I won't start new things or take risks. Yes. And I was really I was listening to all these podcasts and all these, reading all these articles and things like that, where they're like, you have to have everything set up, have all your ducks in a row. Don't leave your job before you have, all of the financial things in place. And so I'm like, I don't have any of those things in place, like none of it at all. Like, my job was barely covering what I needed it to. And so I couldn't shake that feeling. Like, I was just like, but I can't stay here anymore. I feel like if I stay here, I'm going to miss my moment. Like if I stayed, I felt like if I hadn't left when I did, I would have still been working retail. Like straight up. Like I would have still been there. I would have been stuck and I would have been sick. Sick, just sick of it. And so I began to really just set up the things as far as being a content creator and being an influencer so that I could position myself to actually leave, right? So I'm doing all of this, and 2020 comes, March happens, and we get a call that that we're going to be furloughed. And so we got furloughed, and I was like, "Oh, wait, is this really happening? Like we're going to really be out of work and still get paid?" Like it was crazy to me. It was crazy to me to think about that. And I remember thinking, especially like having a retail job, I was full time. So but in my mind, I'm thinking it's still retail. So I didn't feel like we were the people who would qualify for a furlough position. I figured that would be for more like salary positions and people who have more corporate jobs, right? So I'm just thinking, they're gonna just like, tell us peace, and then we're gonna have to figure it out from there. But we were furloughed, and so that gave me my start. So in March 2020, we were furloughed and I was out of my job, and I was so happy. Teresa Horn said the hidden blessing of 2020. Yes, I was hype. I was hype, and I was like not hype for the same reason other people were. Like other people were freaking out. They were like, what are we going to do? Like, are we going to have our jobs? Like they're asking all these questions. Like, we feel really insecure in where we are and what's going to happen in the future. And I'm just like, I don't care what happens in the future. You ain't got to call. Like the Usher song. It's okay, girl. You don't have to call. That's how I felt about my job. Don't call me. I'm good. We can be furloughed as long as you want me to. And so I was really hyped. I was really hyped to be furloughed. And I took that was like my moment for me. That's when I knew. And it was so clear to me. God was like, this is your chance to go. This is your chance to leave. And the thing that really made it a setup, and I know a lot of people experienced this during that time, is that when we had our unemployment and we had our pay from our jobs, depending on what your situation was, you had this money that you really could just like use to your advantage. And so I didn't have a savings to leave my job. I didn't have anything set up in place, but that unemployment was like that grace. And it gave me the ability to say, okay, I'm gonna pursue this for real. I'm gonna do it for real. And so I did it. I started figuring out what that looked like, started developing a product, which turned into a journal. And so I just had it in my mind. I was like, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to do this. I've been learning all this stuff. It's time to implement it, start moving like a full-time creator. So, things are going all right. The beginning of the pandemic, I think for a lot of us, we know no one really anticipated how things were going to take that turn or whatever. But at the beginning, it was really good. Like I was like, I'm good. I can spend time with my son. Like I don't have to worry about leaving my job to get him, or because he was having some problems in school. So it was just like, it was a perfect opportunity. George Burns said that was my open door. It was my open door. It was a perfect opportunity. Everything was set up for me to go and to really go for it and to just put my all into it. And so I'm setting it up. I'm doing all the things. And that first year was pretty good. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I felt like I was really like in this space and in the groove. But at this point, I was not really feeling fashion. I was over it. I think that between working retail and trying to start my own shop and doing content and working and being a mother, I was like, I don't want to think about clothes no more. Like you can keep all of that. I don't care. I don't care. And so that my focus became soul care. And I shifted from thinking about fashion to really thinking about healing and still figuring out what that looked like as a creative. So I'm going through this process. We're doing all the things. I've developed this journal. Things are going well, right? We're good. Now we fast forward to 2021 and that is where I was tested. tested. Okay. So I started off the year good. I'm like, I got all this money that is coming in. I'm set up. Unemployment's good. I'm still being able to, make it month to month. And I have excess. I have more than what I need. Right. And so the thing that became really challenging is that I started to get frustrated with the type of content that I was creating, and I couldn't understand what was going on. Like, it wasn't bringing in the money that I hoped that it would. I had this journal, but the journal was free, so I didn't have anything to offer. I was like, should I be a coach? I'm over here taking all these courses, all these classes, trying to figure out, okay, well, what am I supposed to do, and how does this look? Because I can't just have a journal, because the journal is not, the journal is not making the money. It's not doing what it needs to do. And so I'm starting to panic and like really being like, oh, did I make a mistake? Like, I was freaking out. I just knew for a fact that I had made the wrong move. And so the year starts off and I'm already like, ooh, okay, I don't know what to do here. I don't know what's happening. And then in April, I learned that I no longer qualify for unemployment. And it just stopped coming, completely stopped coming. And so now I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what now? I have this money saved up still because I had more than what I needed, right? So I still was able to live off of what I had left, but it was dwindling quickly. Quickly, everything was going, and I had no clue how I was going to make money. And I was really scared. I was so scared, and not because I didn't feel like, I could just go back to a job, but because I felt like this was the right time. I thought that I had heard correctly. Like, I thought like, oh wait, no, this was it. Why isn't it working? Like, why isn't this going the way that I thought that it would? And so, let me see your comment, George. You said one thing at a time. Your mind has so much that you wanted to do. Yeah, it did. I had a lot of things. I had a lot of things that I wanted to do, but it felt like none of them fit. It felt like none of them really went together. And I thank you for making that statement, because I felt like I was getting excited and I might have been talking way too fast. So let me explain that a little bit more. So I was doing soul care. I told you that 2020 was my focus for soul care, and soul care was important because I was healing, right? So I'm focusing on soul care. But previously, if you were here in the beginning, I talked about my start as a content creator was in fashion. So I was doing repurposed fashion, but I had stopped doing repurposed fashion because I felt like I was getting burnt out from doing that. Retail, being a mom, we moved. A lot of things happened at the same time. So I felt like it was best for me to take a break from that. But that desire never completely went away, right? It's still there. That fashion part is still there. And I found myself getting frustrated because I didn't understand how to make them all speak together. It didn't make sense together. And if I'm being honest with you, I was very angry. I was mad. I was so mad. And I was mad at God because I felt like, if you gave me the go ahead to do this, to pursue this full time, why does it feel like everything is imploding? Why does it feel like everything that it was set up for me to be successful at this is not working? I don't understand. What do I do now? And so that 2021, I've spent a lot of time fumbling. It felt like grasping at straws, really trying to figure out, well, what's next? How do I do this? What is this? And I recall the beginning of that year that God told me to write a workbook for creatives, right? And so I'm like, a workbook? I'm thinking this workbook is going to lead to courses, it's going to lead to speaking engagement, all of these things. Like, I could think about how it all flowed because I had been coached by business coaches, and I'd seen and studied the strategies that people had in order to make like a funnel and get people to become a part of their community, right? I understood that aspect of it, but I didn't know what that looked like for me. And I was having a hard time between battling, feeling like if it didn't include fashion, which is what I felt like made me a creator, right? Like that was a part of I made it my identity. And so I was having a hard time with that part not being there no more. I was like, well, who am I if I don't do fashion? Right? And now you got me writing this workbook for creatives. I'm a fraud. I'm a fraud. Like I can't talk about being a creator. I don't even create fashion anymore. I don't know what I create. I don't know what I'm doing here. And so that year I spent working on that workbook, right? We spent a good chunk of the year from January to July, August. I spent writing this journal. All the while, money was dwindling. All the while, I had no idea what type of business to have. All the while, I'm struggling, trying to like grasping at straws to figure out what move do I make next. And I started doing things like driving Lyft. I did Lyft for a long time, and that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day, that experience with Lyft. But I'm doing Lyft, trying to make extra money. That's not working out either. I lost money doing that. And so it just felt like everything that I was trying was not working. And the one thing that God really told me to work on, I, for one, felt like a fraud and I didn't feel qualified to do it. And then two, wasn't making no money because I was writing it. So I was just like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? George Burns, that's good. I love how God, Teresa Horn says, I love how God is not surprised that we get mad. He's not surprised. And he told me to do it anyway. He's like, you still got to do it. You still got to write it. And so I spent the year writing it. I spent that year really healing and really struggling and just kind of like going back and forth with God and what that looked like. And so that is where June, July, I started to rediscover that fire for fashion again. And that was weird for me because I thought that I was done with it. Like I was like, I'm good. I don't have to touch it no more. I started to find that fire again. And from there, it led into me becoming a stylist. And as a stylist, I learned what type of content to create. And I started to understand how I was supposed to show up as a stylist and a content creator. And it all started to kind of come together right before my eyes. And I didn't even realize until a conversation that I had on a live last week where it was like, wow, I was really walking through this process of becoming a creator, becoming a creative, and really surrendering what I felt it should look like and giving it back to God, and then him giving it back to me into something that was so beautiful. I couldn't have come up with this on my own. I couldn't have done that by myself. So I'm going through 2021, into 2021, I really started to let go and release that resentment and that bitterness that I had and that anger that I had towards God concerning this situation. And so that is when things started to really pop off. And the December of 2021, I started off on TikTok with how many followers did I had? I had 100 and something followers, y'all. Like I could not break that little 100. Like I couldn't get anywhere. I spent the whole 2020 trying to get past 100 followers. I was like, just get me to 1,000. Like I'm good with that, right? December 2021 is where I saw my account grow from less than 100 followers to 1,000 followers in almost overnight, y'all, within a week. And from that moment, the momentum just kept on going. It kept growing, it kept moving, and it was all done in a way that is authentic to who I am. And no one does it like me, even to this day. Like, and I look and I see, I try to see what people are doing in the fashion space from time to time, and no one does it the way that I do it. It's very unique. It's very special because that's the way that God works with me. That's the way that he helps me to create content. And so it's still like so sweet to think about it because it really was a learning process going through all of that. So We are at the end of 2021. I'm coming into the new year with 1,000 followers, over 1,000 followers on TikTok, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm really a content creator. I'm really doing it, and it's really looking like all of the hard work that I had put in those past 2 years is really starting to show. Is really starting to come forth in a way that is not necessarily tangible, but evident. It was evident. Like I could see it. It was there. It was like, no one can take this from me. Even if I lost all of my followers, I lost this page, whatever. No one can tell me, no one can take that away that happened. That occurred, and that it was so gratifying to know that I really am doing this. It's really happening, right? Thank you, George. Yes, congratulations. He's saying congratulations. Thank you. And Teresa Horn is saying he is always waiting for us to surrender. Yes, he is always waiting. We're the ones that be fighting it. And so we are now in 2022, the beginning of 2022, and he's still not done yet. So we're still like where I am entering into a new space now, where the content creation piece, the creative piece, is still there. Like that part never went away either. So, if we recall 2021, I started to step into the stylist space, really started to come back into fashion and discover that love for it again, right? And that even discovering that was my own process of discovering it and falling in love with it again for me first, and then being able to walk other people through that process. And so now it's turned into being a content creator, but not just being a content creator, not just being an influencer, but also being the one that helps to guide people through that process of becoming one themselves. So it's everything. Nothing was wasted. No experience was wasted. Everything that I've learned, everything that I have studied, it has all been so that I can help other people come to a similar place in whatever respective areas that they're supposed to be in. So being able to guide them through the process of surrendering, getting that vision, getting that goal, that strategy that makes them unique, understanding their identity and who they are and how to collaborate and how to be bold in their creativity so that they can experience what it looks like for them. And so I've been being able to walk into the space of being a coach, a strategist rather. I don't really call it a coach, a strategist for other creatives, other content creators, other influencers, and being able to see the vision for what they have outside of what they can see, because sometimes when we're in it is limited for us, but sometimes what you really need is someone who can say, no, I see this going past you making YouTube videos. I see this becoming you being a speaker and traveling the world. I see this becoming a business where you get to travel to different states, to different cities, and you get to train and coach people in what you do. And these are real life examples, y'all. Like these are not things I'm making up in my head. Like one of the people, I was able to not only give her strategy for her TikTok account, but I was able to give her strategy for her business because God put it on my heart. He was just like, he kept dealing with, he's like, this is what she needs to do. This is how her business needs to look. This is what she needs to do. This is how she needs to pivot, and literally gave an entire marketing plan that she's still using to this day. And she's about to hit, if she hasn't hit it already, she's about to hit 20,000 followers on TikTok. She's traveling to different cities, teaching people majorette dance as a form of health, as a form of fitness. Like you don't even see that nowhere. And so being able to really see the fruit of going through that process and then being able to walk other people through that process and them take less time than I did going through it. Like all of those things are so important. But the thing that just really makes me excited about sharing this story is that I have actually, this is not my first time trying to record a podcast. So I've tried to podcast at least twice in the past 3 years, and I never stuck with it. And I was in error. I needed to start it a long time ago, but we're here. I'm starting to get in front of y'all so y'all can help hold me accountable to it. But I documented the process from when I really started. So even that I might bring that into the mix once I start posting it, once I start publishing the episodes. But there's evidence of what I've gone through. There's journals of me writing and crying and praying and asking and getting visions and all of that stuff. This whole process has been outlined. The workbook, which is coming back around, I'm going to be doing something interesting with that soon. I'm still getting instructions on what that looks like, but I'll be using the workbook to help other content creators and other influencers walk through this process too, so that they can be healthy, whole creators, not just people who are caught in the hustle and the grinding to be something, for one, that they're not, but also just to really be solid and firm in who they are and being comfortable with it looking different than everybody else. So that's going to all be included in however I'm led to use that workbook. So, keep an eye out for that. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the near future. But the point is that the process has been documented, and even me writing it down and being vulnerable in those moments was a faith move for me, because I just felt like at some point something's got to change. At some point, if I keep this up, things are going to improve. Things are going to look different. I'm going to be in a different space than I am right now. But I'm going to talk about this because, with knowing that it's going to change and it's going to improve, I can use whatever I've gone through to help others. And so all of that, just looking at it now and looking at this space, and even looking at me being able to be here right now and being honest with y'all and telling you, like, yeah, I'm starting a podcast. I'm starting a show, not just a podcast, but a show. Like, it's important for it to be visual. That's a part of my brand. I like video, so it has to be visual too. But even knowing where that's going to lead, I don't know. I kind of have ideas, but I can't share them just yet. But I just see me even more on screen and in spaces with other people doing similar things. So it's really exciting. It's really gratifying. And I'm just so grateful that I'm just so grateful that I was able to go through the process, And I know, me thinking about it even now, I'm just like, are you grateful? I am. But it was hard. It's still hard, but just knowing that, being able to appreciate even the incremental steps and stages has been such an exciting thing to experience, and even like an emotional thing to experience. So there's a lot of opportunities and stuff coming my way because of this, and so I'm just really grateful that I get to be one of those stories. Like George Burns said, success, yes. Success, and really doing it God's way, showing what success looks like, just really being surrendered. So that's it, y'all. That's my update. That's where I am now. And I want to know if everyone who is here is either a creator, a content creator themselves. Are you interested in it? Like, what does that look like for you? Because I'm going to be talking soon about people who don't consider themselves to be creators, or who don't consider themselves to be creative, but they really are. That's a big thing for me. I don't like when people say that, because I feel like you are. We're all creative in some way. But the thing that stops a lot of us is just not feeling good enough, comparing and things like that. So let me know. Are you a content creator? Are you a creative? Or if neither of those are interesting to you to answer, I want you to let me know what part of the story really resonates with you, or what did you get from this? What did you get from sharing it? 'Cause I really want to know. I love being able to get the feedback and being able to cater my story and what I share to what it is that you are looking for and what you need. So y'all let me know, how was this for you? And I'm trying to think, I don't even know how to end this. This is so weird, because I'm going to take the audio and make it into a podcast episode. So we'll see. I guess I can share, while you guys are doing that, I can share what this is for, because it was important for me to record it today. One, because I told myself that I would. So I'm trying to be committed to what I say I'm going to do for myself and follow through on my commitments that I make to myself. That's really what I was trying to say. So that was one reason. But the second reason is that there is an accelerator that is for podcasters. And so HubSpot is hosting it, and I am putting I'm tossing in, I forgot what it's called. I'm putting my ballot in. Is that this? I don't know the saying, y'all. I'm submitting the application. Like, I'm putting myself out there for it. So this episode is going to be a part of my application for the accelerator, and it includes a grant. So that would just be dope. And I really want it. I've applied for them before and I didn't get in. I'm trying it again because I just really feel like this is the time to do it. So y'all are going to be a part of history with me. If I make it in, I'm going to come back and I'm going to shout out everybody that's on here right now. George Burns, you're going to be, I'm coming back around the corner, spinning the block and giving you a shout out. Teresa, I'm giving you a shout out. There's somebody else that's in here. Who else am I giving a shout out to? At least put your hand up so I can know you're here and I can know to come back to you. But y'all are going to be a part of this process with me because I just really don't take it for granted. Even you just sitting here listening to me talk and engaging with me has supported me so much more than you could even imagine. So we're here, y'all. We're here. We're moving and grooving as a content creator. So I'm going through and brainstorming what kind of topics to talk about and what type of things that people need in order to support them in their journey and their process with it. But if you are not a content creator, I didn't see anybody comment and say that they were. But if you are not a content creator, but you know somebody who is, please make sure that you tag them in one of my videos, get us connected, because I really am on a mission to catch the people who I feel started off being a content creator and got discouraged. Those are the people I'm really speaking to right now, or people who are doing it, but they're getting burnt out because they're not seeing the way out. You know, they're not seeing the way that this is going to really make them money. Oh, hey, Kiwis. Hey, I haven't talked to you in so long. So yes, if you know a creator, if you know somebody who should be a creator, then let them know. Let them know that this is happening. Let them know that there is somebody who gets them and who is going to make sure that they walk through the process with them so that we can get this money. We can get to this bag. I mean, because that is important. You know, we have to make money to survive. But beyond that, just really being fulfilled and being in a place where even with me on my worst days, I still didn't want to go back to my job. Because I just knew it wasn't there. It wasn't nothing there for me. It wasn't nothing there for me. So that's what we're doing this year and next year, the year after that, and until I'm told to do something else. That's what we're going to be. So George Burns said, I'm a listener. Listeners are usually good coaches. They're good coaches, counselors, mentors. So if you're a good listener, then you probably have some opportunities for you too, if you're not already taking advantage of those. But listeners, I'm a listener too. And when you listen, you can help people solve their problems so much more than trying to tell them what to do. So that's dope. That's dope. I think that that's it, y'all. So thank you for listening for Trendsetters Only, coming to a streaming platform eventually. I don't know when that's going to be just yet, but I'll be back on Monday. I'm trying to make Mondays my night because Mondays are just the best nights. So it'll be Monday, 9:30ish Eastern Standard Time. You gotta do the math backwards if you're not Eastern. Is then we'll be back here and we'll be talking about a new topic and we'll go from there. So thank you all so much. And I'll see you all in the next one if I don't go live at some point in between there. But I'll see you all soon.